Welcome back to the Flannel panel. We're live. Jason's jet lagged, maybe? Is that what's going on right now?
He's looking for a wee bit of whiskey.
He's looking for something to flatten him out, straighten the curve. I don't know, whatever term you want to use. Welcome back to the Flannel panel. Jason is coming back from his trip, as you saw, so we might be getting into some scotch tonight. Troy, do you own any scotch?
No, I had a couple samples, but they've been disposed of. So
yeah, a few weeks ago you went through some of the best scotch around and you hated it. So
well, I appreciated it, but I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, and that was from Conway, who was in the chat tonight. So that's awesome. We got as always the lovely Nat. I wish I had a Scottish accent. Oh, this might be better. There we go.
We dram.
Yeah, Andrew West is here. Andrew West says we just got the all clear this afternoon, so his anxiety is ratcheted down.
The sides, I got them all.
He's doing some. He lives up by some fires, so he had a really stressful week ahead of him. So I'm glad he's doing well. And Conway's saying, "I'm sitting here eating my haggis and drinking scotch." Well, that's interesting.
Good choice on both.
Yeah. Did you have some haggis while you were out there?
Every day at breakfast.
Really?
Every day.
Now,
it was.
Is that like some sort of sausage in like a
stomach
casing or something?
Legit haggis or?
So they're the traditional Scottish breakfast is pretty awesome, really much. It's meat fest, I call it. So basically, it consisted of meat fest. It consisted of 5 different kinds of sausages, meat products. You had the square sausage, which is the beef sausage, the regular link sausage, then you had the black pudding, and then you had bacon, which is basically, it's Canadian style. It's like big, thick pieces of ham, basically.
All right.
And then
with breading on the outside, like female bacon?
No, it was literally looked just like a big old nice hard section of ham.
Okay.
Nice little fat layer on the outside. And then the haggis, and then baked beans, and mushrooms.
Mushrooms
of all things, yeah, just stewed or
no
mushrooms or something. I stuck away from them.
What was that, Troy?
No eggs for breakfast.
Oh yeah, and then eggs. Yeah, of course.
Oh, I didn't.
Either usually over however you want them. I always had them. Although I did remember how much I loved poached eggs out of this. You don't get them very often, and I had them every morning. I forgot how good poached eggs are.
How rough were the mornings on this whiskey trip?
You know what? Here was the thing. That was the beauty part of it. Nat and I we're becoming veteran travelers, and we got up whenever we felt like it. So, I mean, most days started at the break of 9:30 or so.
Sure.
And we didn't really stay out, even when Chad and Sarah and the guys were here. There was one night we stayed up late, but most of the time we kind of passed on the bar crawl and went to bed at like 10 or 11, mostly because there was walking involved. But
yeah,
screw that.
It's called a crawl. It's not called a bar walk. It's a bar crawl.
Yeah. and then yeah, but it was great. It was just very. And then the one time, Glasgow was interesting. That's where we landed to begin with, and then stayed there for 3 days. Had a blast. That really didn't do much. We just kind of decompressed, and our hotel room was right downtown in Hope Street, right downtown Glasgow, which was awesome because it was right smack dab in the middle of their football rivalry weekend, and it was
rivalry week.
And the winners were winning the division. And it was the Rangers and the Celtics.
Oh.
And I will say one thing.
New York teams, yeah.
That's the first time I've ever experienced a football rivalry in Europe. Texas, Oklahoma's got nothing on that. I mean,
Pretty cool.
I mean, they're downright belligerent when it comes. Matter of fact, so we did. I went back to the crawl, and our last night we decided to go. Nat and I go bar hopping, and the concierge pulled us off early before we left, and he gave us some tips. He says, first of all, go early to avoid a lot of the crowds because it's division weekend. It's going to be crazy. And he says, avoid the crowds. He says, keep your head on a swivel, and for the love of God, don't wear green. So we did.
No, I want to circle back. I have questions already.
There were barricades. I actually have pictures. There was several bars that had big old plaques on their doors that say no football colors allowed. It was
like gang signs.
It was, yeah. And then after the game, they were a bunch of kilted individuals singing at the top of their lungs till 3 a.m. in the middle of the streets. It was great. I loved it, and I was scared.
All right, Troy, what questions you got?
Okay. Before we move off of the breakfast too far.
Oh, I'm sorry.
2 questions. Did the haggis make the scotch taste better? And can you touch a little bit more on exactly what haggis is?
I would say, and it's not a lot. Honestly, if I didn't tell you what you were eating, you would just think it's like corned beef hash.
Okay.
It's a little dry, and it's kind of gamey, like kind of like a venison sausage or something like that.
Okay. All right.
I will say this: all of the entire Scottish breakfast was much better after Nat stole me a bottle of Tabasco sauce.
Fair enough.
So
yeah,
it could do a little hot sauce, because I honestly, if anything, it was a little too bland. It wasn't that spicy. It was kind of starchy as the oatmeal and stuff. It kind of felt, yeah. I mean, actually, I think Chad, it's Bourbon Night. Chad fell in love with it. He was eating everything haggis. They have haggis flavored potato chips.
Wow.
I saw on his channel where he said he loves haggis.
Yeah. And the black pudding was actually, I didn't like it, not because of the flavor or where it came from. It was just kind of dry.
Before we get into what the black pudding is, Michelle Fusco, how's it going?
Yeah. So
always good to see you. What is black pudding?
Black pudding is basically blood sausage. They make the sausage. They use the calf's blood and whatnot inside of it, so it comes out like pitch black. So it's like, yeah, just sausage
with blood.
With blood.
Okay.
Extra iron.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I mean, my logic was, first, I'll try anything once, but also, how can I bitch about this? I mean, we all eat hot dogs.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same thing. A little more romantic, I guess. But yeah, it was.
Pictures look like it was beautiful over there, though.
No kidding.
Oh my hell. It was perfect. I realized that that's when we're going to travel. It's in the spring or in the fall. Screw the summer. I don't want to, because that is the one thing. It's very, very European in that way. There's no air conditioners, not a lot of ice to be seen. We did get, we were on the 6th floor in the one hotel and in Edinburgh. I mean, we just had an oscillating fan and got a little hot in the day, but as soon as it got, the evenings were just gorgeous. Like maybe 45 degrees. It got up to like maybe a high of mid 60s. So the entire island was on a really good thermostat.
Perfect.
It was perfect.
How big is the island?
Not gigantic. I don't know, comparatively. I mean, it's pretty decent size. We went from Glasgow up to Fort Williams, which is north of the island.
Okay.
And it was a 4-hour trip, but it was public buses or public trains. So it was
slow.
It was like a 3-hour train tour, but they're stopping.
Okay.
I think it was like 120 miles. So from Glasgow, from the south or mid-south, Glasgow's like center of the country. to the north. It was about 100 and something miles.
Hmm.
And then it's only a 40-minute. It's only 50-ish miles, 100 kilometers between Glasgow and Edinburgh.
Oh, okay.
So it's not really giant, but it's
not giant at all.
But it was just awesome. And to see the three, we did miss the Northeast, which is Speyside, which is where. Oh shit! Sorry, guys.
Isn't that you forgot to tell about?
Yeah.
Sirius XM. We cancel our Sirius XM every night. They keep trying to call and kiss my ass.
How dare you cancel?
Anyway, I know. So anyway, but yeah.
And then Isla's the island of the island.
Yeah, Isla's on the bottom south.
I guess there's more than one. There's a few islands.
There is a lot.
Yeah,
it's called the Hebrides, and there's a whole bunch of a group of islands in the southwest.
Okay, and you went to how many of those? Because is Oban?
We went. Oban is more of a port.
Okay, all right.
So we went to
Oban,
Glasgow to Fort William, and then we took the train back down to Glasgow and cut over to Edinburgh, and that's when we met the guys, it's Bourbon Night people.
Yep.
Stayed there for 2 days and then hit the ferry to Isla. Spent 2 days down there, back to Oban, crossed the ferry again to mainland. Oban was right there on the port. That place was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then we took just a long drive back, like a scenic route back from Oban down to Edinburgh.
Cool.
And then they said their goodbyes, and then we continued on to the class.
Oh yeah,
which was absolutely awesome.
You got taught. Let's get into that a little later though. So before you met the guys, before you met up with Chad and Sarah and everybody, you got to meet a legit YouTube star.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
it was really cool. We were
legit like us.
That's when we were in Glasgow.
I mean, like, yeah,
because
we're legit.
We were in Glasgow and we were on the hop on. We did that hop on, hop off bus to see the sights.
Yeah,
and we just thought it's a newer distillery in Glasgow called Clydeside.
Okay,
and it was one of the stops of the train, so we decided just hop off and check out Clydeside and see what they have. And we were walking down. As we're walking now, Roy from Aquavite comes out.
Yeah,
he actually had a friend and he was doing the tour. And so I kind of went over and reintroduced myself because I met him way back at the Crowded Barrel Distillery launch.
That's right.
That was 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
And I told him, I said, look, I don't expect you to understand. There was a lot of years and a lot of whiskey ago, but we met 5 years ago at the Whiskey Tribe event. And he was one of the most gracious, genuine, nice people I've ever met.
So if you don't watch his channel, like one of the best, it's a long show. He puts on a long
If anybody can convert you to Scotch, it would be him.
Yeah.
His enthusiasm and knowledge, and he's just a nice guy. Matter of fact, he talked us into going on the tour with him.
He was
going to run through.
Wow.
So the tour was sold out. He talked to the front desk, got us a couple extra spots to jump in.
Oh, cool.
And then we took the tour with him through Clydeside, which is really cool. It was a newer distillery. It's right on the docks from where all the shipping lanes were, but they're gone, and they kind of took the old building. It's an old watchtower, basically. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, one of my favorite channels to watch. When I haven't watched much of whiskey stuff lately, I've just been busy with life. But when ever his stuff shows up, the recycled reviews that he did, some of the best stuff ever. Yeah, he just grabs a bottle that he had and talks about it and explains why he might get it and not. And what a great guy.
Those are pretty much the only videos of his I watch anymore, but they are pretty cool.
He has a really great series too about pronouncing the distillery. So.
That's right. He does. So,
and I've been his ear. So we geeked out about it. And on top of that, I found out from him that he actually, fast forward a little bit, he was a guest speaker or a guest attendant at a dinner that Chad and Sarah had set up.
Nice. They've hung out a few times, I think. Chad and Sarah kept in contact with them. Yeah.
So he'll pop up in the story here in a little bit too.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, so that was cool. Then the Port William that we had to do Fort William. I keep calling it Port William. It's Fort William. Same thing. So Fort William out in the sticks, very, very small place, but it was really absolutely beautiful. I mean, I'll start getting some motivation. I need to put some pictures up. Like
yes, you do. Some of these pictures are good.
Every window, every hotel we poked our head out of had like a scenic, perfect view. This one was right across from Loch. One of them. There's like a million locks, but
Ness.
There was that was on Inverness side.
I'm kidding.
Loch.
Yeah.
One thing is, I think it said Loch Long or Loch
Lomond or something. That's a distillery?
Loch Lomond is kind of towards Inverness.
Cool.
We did stop there a little bit. Yeah, when we got there, it was really great. Same thing, just relax. We were bored, and they have a distillery outside of Fort William called Ben Nevis.
Yeah, that's a up and comer, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it was cool. We got there at 9:30 when it opened, and of course the guy, the front desk, he's like, the tours were full because they had a tour bus driving through. But we went back to the bar. They didn't have a lot in by way of gift shop and whatnot, but we sat back and just kind of geeked out. Met one of the guides there. She was amazing. So we literally just started geeking out and talking to her. And then as we're just gabbing, she goes, "You want to go check out the still house?" Yes, I do. So sweet. She just snuck us around the back. We sat in the still house and gabbed about processes and fun, geeky stuff. Found out that they don't even have a master distiller or a master blender because they're owned by Nika.
Oh, really?
So all of their decisions are made in Japan.
Interesting.
They send the samples over, and Japan tells them what to put out.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So Conway just threw up in the chat here. Andrew, what scotch did you grab? He's going with the Dalmore Cigar Blend.
Nice
because in the chat I mentioned, or in the introduction thing, I said we're drinking scotch tonight. So I grabbed one. I know, Troy, you don't have scotch, but
no, I'm sorry, I do not.
This is probably my favorite, and it kind of goes to Roy or Aquavite, because this is one of the ones that kind of got him into everything and doing
and
it.
I think I've told you guys, for me, that one is instant. I have instant recognition, and that's another one that brings up memories. Because when I smell Lagavulin, I instantly get that oiled canvas from an army tent, or the old ropes on my old deuce and a half truck. So it takes me right back to being in the army, right back to the Middle East. I can instantly think about, like, even talking about it, I just pictured my old truck in the back.
That's fun.
I painted a big red horse on the side. Everybody was doing it to be cool. I just did a blank horse just so I could say, this is cheesy dad joke alert.
That's funny.
I can say that I've been through the desert on a horse with no name.
Perfect.
You did it, buddy.
Andrew's going with the Macallan Edition 2. Wow, what color is that one, Andrew? Those were good ones. And Jason, Troy, what do you got going on? You had any special
I am
pours?
Very pedestrian. I'm just drinking a little Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond, the new bottle. And
Jason, what did you grab, or how many did you grab?
I grabbed them all. I haven't decided yet.
Well,
these are all from the trip. This one, they all have kind of fun stories, but this one is oh
wow,
it's an exclusive. It's Manic Moore. I got this at a freaking truck stop. The guy had he had a whiskey shop in the back.
Oh.
Got to talking to him. Matter of fact, he had the Highland Park Fire Edition.
Okay.
For MSRP, basically, like 270 pounds. So he actually is going to ship it to me.
There you go.
I wanted it so bad and I couldn't, it has that big presentation box. The box was like, so he's going to mail it.
Nice.
But yeah. And the back of and he was great. He had a bunch of High West stuff. We started hawking High West and whiskey, all kinds. And this was an exclusive bottle that he did for his shop. So it's 13-year Manickmore. I have these two I bottled myself. They had the bottle yourself. This is Glenkinchie.
Oh, cool.
This is it's a lowland. It's actually one of the cornerstones in Johnny Walker.
Oh, really?
So they have 4 main distilleries that they draw from: Kulela, Glenkinchie, Kleinleash, and another one.
And you love Kulela or Kulela?
I love Kulela. I love Kulela. So this one is a sherry. It's a sherried one. It's a sherry bomb. I got a lot of these fill your own because they literally just throw a cask up there and pour it till it's empty.
Oh, cool.
So they're cask strength, and so they're like this one's 54.9, 109.8.
Wow.
And then I got this one actually in duty free. So this week the Fish Isle is going on, which is the Isle
festival.
Isla festival. And so each distillery puts out their individual bottles, and this is the Bunnahabhain Fish Isle edition.
Oh wow, that's cool.
They've got some cool bottles. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
finished in casks.
Kanaska.
But then my favorite, poured myself. This is
Port Charlotte.
This is Port Charlotte, cask strength Port Charlotte.
All right.
My favorite peated. It comes in at a very mellow 128.2 proof.
What?
That's not mellow.
It is peated and
Troy would hate that.
So
I would love that.
I'll send you a sample. And I love this. I love this for the same reason I like Kulela. It's very smoky, but like Port Charlotte tastes like Traeger smoke to me.
Oily.
Not
it's
as
really
oily, smoky,
meaty.
More like
Mhm.
more like smoking your meats.
Mm.
So
Port Charlotte might be my so Octomore is a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
I like the experience and I love the pour once in a while, but Port Charlotte's probably my favorite scotch, I would say. And you sent me one. You sent me one years ago.
Oh yeah, the Traveler, yeah.
Whatever that thing was one of the best scotches I've ever had. So yeah.
And this one. So that was great. As a matter of fact, Bruichladdich, that was the first distillery we toured as a group.
Cool.
With Chad and Sarah, and it was the best.
Yeah, Bruichladdich awesome.
We did like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It was.
So, Jason, once you were touring with the group, were there like just some bona fide Scotch fans in the group, or were they all like bourbon people trying Scotch?
I would say 50-50.
Okay.
And then was it some people were really enjoying it? Was it all like me trying?
And I will say this: that I mean, even Chad and Sarah, I'm sure they'll come clean. They really started. They found some that they really liked. They found that like if you get some like heavily sherried single malts that are richer, sherry bombs, they have very similar characteristics to bourbon. They're big and fruity and really tasty. And I have a couple of those. So they actually came around. They actually found several bottles that they fell in love with.
Cool.
And there was a couple, maybe actually out of all of them, only one of the couples that went really didn't buy
like it.
in. They didn't drink
Yeah.
the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
even then they had a good time.
I don't know if I would like anything, but I would go tomorrow just to see everything. You know,
I think you in
would.
the
And I'll
environment.
say
Yeah.
this.
yeah, for sure.
It's a different experience drinking scotch in Scotland.
Oh yeah, I think it almost.
You know, I mean, because you're around, and it might be psychosomatic or what, but you get it. You know, you have this beautiful, just weather. You know, by the ocean and the volcanic hills, and it's just, it kind of just you get it. It tastes like where they're from, and everybody's so proud of it. And there really is so much difference in like this. I think you would enjoy the Glen Kinchy a lot for that reason, because it's a lot lighter. It's a sweet. It's a lot like bourbon. It has a big sweet punch to it. I think a lot of the scotches that we get are. I actually run into the same problem. A lot of the scotches we get here with the basic offerings, you know, around 80, 83 proof, you know.
Yeah.
And even those I have a hard time in really
Well, this is
disliking them. It's just there's just not enough there.
Yeah, this is 86 proof,
Yeah.
the Lagavulin 16, and it's so pleasant. Like it's such a nice, and grab a rocks glass. What I've learned with scotch is grab a rocks glass, pour a decent amount, and just enjoy it. Like I'm not nosing it for all the flavors. I just enjoy it with scotch. So
and it's kind of funny too, because the entire class, the guy that was teaching class was amazing, but he's industry guy. Worked for Diageo.
You haven't told us what the class is yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's explain that.
So yeah, so we took it was the diploma in single malt whiskey, both basically certification in the actual spirit. The class was geared towards industry per se, but it was really cool because we went through every single part of the process of creation process, from milling the grains to bottle maturation and blending. We went through it in specific or in detail, and then learning what each process contributes to your glass, and like learning where our tasting notes come from, what chemicals are produced. So it was really cool. So like, I know I learned, like, my favorite is learning that when you get a tropical note in whiskey, it's coming from the fermentation process. A normal fermentation process goes anywhere from 20 to 40 hours. But some leave it in for a long, up to 100 hours. And the reason they do that is the fermentation process basically spent, but it introduces wild yeast strains and wild bacteria into the mash, which contributes to those fruity flavors, one of which being coconut or tropical flavors. So, if you're drinking something with tropical flavors, it had a long fermentation process.
Oh, really?
You geek out about that kind of stuff.
That's neat.
Yeah. So I probably put half the group to sleep. I'm sorry, but it was quite fascinating, and it was actually the opposite. It was funny because we were not. That kind of fell out of our element because the whole process was going in reverse to the wheel. Because in the wheel, there's like eight characteristics in a whiskey.
Oh, really?
When we're nosing and tasting, that's our interpretation and being in touch with that. But so rather than taking a grassy note and expounding for ourselves, seeing it's more of a, whatever it is to interpret and elaborate, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
Like if you're saying I'm getting a
Instead of specific, it's more broad.
this, we distilled it down to these.
Okay.
Because that it was
like Troy would get a burnout on a 69 Camaro in this.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Right? Like, yeah.
So rather than saying that burnout on a 69 Camaro, we distill it down to the sulfur.
Yeah.
The sulfur taste or the smoky and sulfur.
So there's only 8 categories on the wheel.
I was going to bring the wheel. I want to say.
Okay, but a small amount then.
There's because a small.
You look at tasting wheels that you can download online or whatever it is, and it's a huge wheel with these little slivers of all these little things, trying to break down exactly what you're getting. Like Woodford, isn't
true
it?
Too.
Is it like how many flavors or how many notes can you pull at a Woodford? Isn't there that their advertisement?
Yeah. Right. And that was more like. I mean, it's true because we all are getting them. So, but all these little flavors
line up into one
our personal interpretations of the skinny part of the wheel, which is grassy or
oaky or woody or whatever.
He gave us a wheel I'll take a picture of that too.
That's cool.
So it was and like I said, he'd been in the business for 35 years. He'd resurrected several distilleries and barrel manager. He just knew his stuff. He's actually named he's the whiskey minister on Facebook. He's a minister.
Interesting.
If you look him up on Facebook.
Does he do stuff with Roy?
What's that?
Does he do stuff with Aquavite?
He may have. He knew him. We talked to him a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But he does a lot of his own.
Yeah.
And of course, he's the only one that teaches this class. So
cool.
Yeah. But that was cool too because we got to meet. That's so much. It's so cool getting all these really amazing individuals, everybody watching included. Making my network of drinking buddies around the world is the thing I'm probably the most proud of in my life.
Yeah.
You know, connecting with, and I met it again. I mean, I met this guy. This is kind of funny. He owns a rum warehouse. He has, it's called Outlaw Rum Incorporated, Outlaw Rum. And what he does is he imports rum from Trinidad and then he barrel finishes it in different barrels and then sells it.
Cool.
Oh.
So I got to be good friends with him, drinking buddy with him. He's like, if you're ever up in Aberdeen, just bring your friends and we'll go in the warehouse and see what kind of trouble we can get into.
I mean,
so, Flannel Panel Aberdeen.
That's all we can do. We got all go to Europe. And
we got all these trips coming up. Like,
had another guy
missions trip, a Scotland trip. Yeah.
He owns several hotels in Scotland. Same thing. So
cool.
If you're ever in the area, I'm at. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
That's great.
So,
what was the best pour of the experience?
Yeah.
I would say the best experience. So back to the Berclotti.
Okay. Yeah. Best experience then.
The tour, I will say I'm between the class and all of the distillery tours I've taken. I don't want to see the mashing process ever again.
I've seen 2 and I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
I've learned. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so we went through the process, and that's one thing. It's not a gripe, but I wish that if I was ever to do tours with a group, I would love to go ahead and let the guide know, look, we know this. We're experts. You don't need to expound on the grain milling process and just tell us what's different and then go back to the fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. So Berclotti was the best tour then?
So Berclotti was great. The tour was awesome, but the best part is at the end, we actually went into one of their dunnages, their warehouses.
Okay.
Sitting around all these barrels aging. We all sat down and they had a cask of their basic laddie, the Berclotti.
Yeah. The classic laddie.
Port Charlotte and Octomore.
Oh, wow.
And so Sarah thieved each one and fed us all each expression right from the barrel into our. I have samples. I was going to bring them down too. I mean,
So
we have
cool.
I got
nice,
so drunk.
nice char-filled samples right from the barrel.
Troy would have walked into that room with that Octomore smelling everywhere, and he would have walked right out.
Oh well.
No, I'm telling you, you wouldn't.
I'm just saying, you sit me down with 3 barrels and like have somebody thieve it right out. I'd have a good time.
It was so cool. And I'm sitting, I was looking, there was a barrel right up from I took a picture of it. I just looked up and there's a barrel that was filled in 1992.
Wow.
You know, just that kind of and it had that, you know, that old dusty basement smell that's so awesome. And so you throw all that into the mix. I said, you might not be your favorite, but you'd never forget it.
That's awesome.
You know,
Yeah.
and like I said, Sarah it was great. It was funny too, because Sarah did all 3 of them. She poured them all for us. She was joking that she smelled like Octomore for like 3 days because she got it all over her hands. And
you do. It's hard.
yeah,
that
was the best. Just hanging around and just right out of the barrel.
Very cool.
Ardbeg was an amazing tour. Tour guide was awesome. We'd start right out on the port on their little jetty and drank and learned about Ardbeg. Those are the 2 tours we went to on Isla, and then we visited Lefroy and Lagavulin and another one.
Right.
It's all there. Oh, but more
by that last one.
Yeah.
What was that? Bowmore?
Yeah.
Okay. Bowmore, that would be cool too.
It was, yeah. Speaking of which, of Octomore, I just remembered I have something for Troy. I bought a beautiful barbecue sauce made with Octomore.
Oh.
Did you try it?
Octomore barbecue sauce.
I mean, you don't even need to put it on the barbecue. The smoke's already there.
Have you tasted it?
Nat saying Sarah reeked of peat after serving 20 people 3 barrels of scotch.
But it was just everywhere we met. It just
that was your best experience in tour.
Best tour experience.
Best whiskey though. What was the best whiskey you tried, or the most impactful whiskey you tried over
I think one of the coolest ones wasn't even a whiskey. It was some of that rum. Jim, my friend Jim, the distiller, we were in the middle of class and we took our coffee breaks. He would sneak out around the corner and would take nips of his rum out of his flask. So we were.
That's how you do a flask.
Matt sent a picture of me half asleep. It's because I was tipsy on rum for the last half of the class.
That's awesome.
That was cool. I think we did have back to the Roy.
Yeah.
Chad and Sarah had organized a really cool dinner at the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society.
I did see a picture with all the bottles in the background.
Yeah. They had a 3-course meal with pairings on each one. And if you don't know a lot about Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, it's an independent bottler that they barrel their own stuff, and then they'll give it their individual names based on their flavors.
Yeah, they source from all the distilleries.
They source from and so you have a little code up top. They can't tell you, but there's a code that you can look up where it's from.
So they
all have amazing names. What's that?
Do they blend, or are they like all single barrels?
They're single barrels. They're single barrel, basically single barrel independent bottlings from different distilleries all over Scotland. And they had awesome names. Like my favorite, as a matter of fact, my favorite pour of the night was one of those. And the name of the bottle was The Metamorphosis of a Salmon.
Wow. I feel like Ewan McGregor starred in that movie or something like that.
Yeah. So it was just really, and they're all cast strength.
That's cool.
And so we sat around the table
Nat's saying she really liked the uniqueness of the single barrels.
Yeah.
So I've never tried any of that stuff. But who is it? The Scotch Test Dummies.
Yeah.
I believe
He's a rep of them.
Scott is a rep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Bourbon Junkies have promoted that stuff a fair bit too. And that said, the pairings we had at the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society were really good. So what was the food and pairing? Like, do you remember any of that?
Oh, Nat, help me. The metamorphosis
talk
of the
food
salmon.
for a
We had
minute.
Was it with salmon?
Mine was with lamb. No. What did we have, Nat?
Mutton.
Help.
They call it mutton over there.
Yeah.
It's true. Gosh.
It was,
I was
a lot of whiskey, wasn't it?
there was a lot of whiskey. I can see it. They were really decorated plates.
Cool.
And they had really fancy. Just so fancy. I didn't spill myself either. I was proud.
And their bottles, don't they do like a different color ring for every different region or
I think
style?
I think the ring is the color
You'll
coded.
see, and they have
for
a
the
really
distillery.
cool looking
'Cause
bottle.
if you've watched like some of Scott's videos, he's got just like sections of bottles, all the different color rings on them.
Mhm.
He's really
And we asked the representative there about the naming process, and he says they all the employees get a hand in it, so they all sit around and will name stuff.
That's cool.
And he says one night, he says, at the beginning, it's really intuitive. We all sit down, we have great names for things. Then at the end, we're all drinking. Someone's like, we'll just name this one Fork.
they're all drunk.
So it depends on how drunk they were in the process, on how
I gotta
curious
go.
the names got.
All right. So what I'm wondering is, I don't know if you had time to do any looking around, but did you come across any bourbon over there? Is there any shops that have bourbon? Was there anything cool? Or
I tried. It's very difficult. I mean, we found there was one distillery or one whiskey shop in Glasgow that had some,
but nothing to get excited about. Just your standard fare.
Yeah, they had the Four Roses single barrel. They had nothing like. It was all pretty basic, and the other ones, like, even at bars. I mean, I could see how, like Ashley Donahay's right. I could see how they don't have the right whiskey to make the assumption that on bourbon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, gotcha.
Because they just really don't have a good selection. So I mean, if I'm basing, I think the most
Scotch on
exotic
Johnny
bottle
Walker
I found
Red
out in the wild in a bar was just a plain Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's like just basing Scotch on Johnny Walker Red or, basic McClelland random whatever. There's so much more to it. So.
What was the name of it? There was a whiskey shop in Edinburgh that did independent bottlings. Sorry for the inside baseball, but you guys, kind of like the one I got you for the Advent, where they source bourbon over.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
They had several of those single bottles. I know Todd Cooper bought a couple of those.
Oh, neat.
He got like a 15-year Heaven Hill that was aged in Scotland.
That's really cool.
So is Todd Cooper like awesome in person, or is he?
He's great.
You've met him.
You met him.
I don't know if I met him.
No, I was with you when we met him.
Oh, sorry, Todd. Drunk again.
At Whiskey Weekend Badge 4.
Todd was, there was the couples, everybody was amazing. But I mean, I had Ray Chappell. We've all met Ray.
Yeah.
Love Ray. And then John Wadsworth. You know John.
Yes.
From Atlanta.
Yeah.
Awesome
so again, it was Whiskey Weekend Batch 4 and things were fuzzy. But
who was your least favorite? Who did you not like?
Oh.
Just kidding.
How much has Jason drank? And it's time for just the tips.
I can't say. When the camera goes off, there is one.
No, I'm just kidding.
Can't say it.
I got to pour one more thing before we get out.
Not in the group.
Yeah. What are you pouring, Troy?
I don't know. I'm gonna try a little bit of this Willer Foolproof that came in like third place or fourth place.
Did not represent at Bar Night at Home.
It did not.
Yeah.
I need to watch. I feel so bad. That was probably my biggest complaint is their Wi-Fi was so bad.
Yeah. What is it? Europe doesn't have Wi-Fi? What do they do?
I don't know. Ironically enough, I had one night of good Wi-Fi, and it was on Isla, the Edinburgh Wi-Fi. I don't know if it was the hotel or what, but it was terrible.
I got a text from you at like the pristine time checking in on me.
Yeah.
It was like I was having a tough go.
Oh,
Jason's
good.
like thinking about you, man. I was like, oh, life is good. Life is good.
Yeah. I mean, and this isn't a knock. I absolutely loved every minute of it. I loved everybody I was with. But to get a little sappy, all I could think of was, gosh, the guys would love this.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. You know, it's like, damn, I wish Troy was here. Or I was even here to see this Isla stuff. Or, you know, everybody was around. I just like, oh.
I'm glad you got to see it though. Like you and Nat with those some of these pictures are incredible. Like you're gonna frame these, I hope.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we have.
And the flannel game, the flannel game in Scotland. You brought it.
Oh yeah, we could take over these flannels over there.
Yeah.
Oh, I was looking for one. They were really nice too, but you know, they didn't need to get two of them and sew them together.
But that was my first thing I thought of when you started sending pictures back. I'm like, that's like really like a trip of a lifetime. You know, how many people get to do that?
And that was love it. So the Port William train, we went to the train to Fort William, and then Fort William they do the Jacobite train, which is the train that was in Harry Potter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
The one that has the big bridge, the famous going to Hogwarts.
That's cool.
So we got on that. That was awesome because it was an old steam locomotive. And you walk in and all the seats, big high back Queen Anne chairs, real fluffy chairs. And of course, Nat got the fancy package. And we ordered champagne for two, which what we thought was champagne for two, which ended up being 2 bottles.
Nice.
So we had 2 bottles, and the couple across from us, we met a really cool couple from Dentonshire, England.
Okay.
So we shared 3 bottles of champagne in a 2-hour trip.
And you got hammered at Hogwarts.
Let's just say
You're
he couldn't
a wizard,
drive.
Harry.
He had to rest in the caravan for a few hours before they could continue their trip.
That's awesome. You're a wizard, Harry.
So
I love it.
I like.
Jason,
I'll tell you what. I wasn't a big fan of Harry Potter till like halfway into the second bottle. Now I love him.
Oh, I like Harry Potter.
I've never seen it.
Never seen it. Did you ever make it to a Burger King?
No. She wouldn't let me.
I mean, it's your trip too.
I know. I saw. There was several times. It was in Glasgow. We were starving. We ate. It had to be authentic. It had to be someplace. Fish and chips.
So
I had so much fish and chips. It was great.
I would eat fish and chips every day.
Me too. You loved breakfast. So you love the breakfast, but what was the best dinner meal or lunch meal or other than breakfast meal that you had?
Oh, that's easy. Okay. I can't believe that blanked that out. So in Oban, we stayed in Oban, beautiful port town. I mean, I could have jumped out of my window into the ocean if I had to in our hotel room.
Wow.
And it was just a beautiful seaside. It was spring. It was just great. And we were in there. Nat loves seafood. And Oban we found that the hotel restaurant had whole slew of seafood.
Nice.
I had my first langoustines that I've ever had.
What is that?
Which were absolutely it's like if crawdad and crab had a baby.
Okay.
Or like little, they're not quite lobster. They're more.
They're like
shrimp,
jumbo shrimp.
They're like this long.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're huge. I'll throw out a picture, and I got a stack of those. They were big enough that I actually was able to crack the claw to get meat out of it. Claws were big enough to get some claw meat. And I'm I'm from Utah. I don't know seafood. Nat's from the South. So I get this big old well, and she's happy as a lark. She's across the table with a dozen oysters. So she's eating oysters. I'm eating langoustines. She had a freaking lobster thermidor for dinner. I had, what did I have? Oh, and I just had to get this the sirloin steak or a filet, and it was just
So the setting, the
right
whole,
by the ocean.
yeah.
The stuff you're eating was just caught this like 500 yards from you.
I'm gonna
That's
need
cool.
Patty to make me a sandwich
Yeah.
right there right now.
Oh, there's another thing that was, I would say this is the peated Scotch version of soup,
Okay.
and it's called Cullen Skink.
Cullen Skink.
It was actually just, it's like a clam chowder broth, kind of a
All right.
white, like a cream broth
Yeah.
with potatoes and veggies, but instead of clams, they use smoked haddock.
That sounds fantastic.
And it was so delicious, but it was just like Pete, that smoked,
The
that
smoked
stuck with you
fish
for a couple of
is,
days.
yeah.
I was tasting smoked haddock for like 3 meals after that.
Oh man. Plus the cream sauce just adds
And the
to
cream
that.
sauce.
Yeah. But I'd be in.
But yeah. So
I love
you weren't
food.
hurting on the food department.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just
I had a
Patty-
real good peanut butter and jelly sandwich the other day.
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I
Troy
wanted to.
says that, but he eats well.
Well,
Like Troy can
my-
make.
Oh yeah, look at
crab
me.
with
I'm not
greens.
starving.
My logic was back to the Burger King. It's like they always talk about how other countries. We talked to Owen about this. When Owen, he's like, he has different menus for different countries.
Mhm.
It's like I wanted to go see, you know,
The
Sometimes
haggis,
you need a
the
Whopper.
McHaggis.
it's control check.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I did see a whole bunch of KFCs that she wouldn't let me go into.
Really?
There was a lot of KFCs around.
That's wise. You're on a trip. Yeah. I wouldn't go in there.
Come on, yeah.
Well, I understand that. While in Europe, eat the good stuff, but I mean, sometimes you got like 15 minutes to kill. Why not throw a Whopper down? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Just like a whole rover.
Because what Whoppers do to you?
I don't God, plug you up. Yeah,
Well, or the opposite.
give you
Yes.
the opposite of that, probably.
You're on a trip. The last thing you need is a Whopper. Let's say that.
I would say on the way home, we literally on the ride home, we got home at like 12. Well, yeah, 12 p.m. And my son was driving because I may or may not have had a lot of
Whiskey over the last 2 weeks.
whiskey and
On the
wine.
plane,
Yeah,
you got
It was
drunk on a
first
plane.
class, baby. Had to drain them of their stash.
I'm pretty sure that's a song.
Started with some doers, then we crossed over to the American airspace, switched over to Woodford,
Okay.
and then mimosas.
Doers, though. My goodness.
So how long were you on the plane?
On the way over, it was just under 10. On the way over, we went to Paris, had a 6-hour layover in Paris.
Oh, we should have called Ashley.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just a little puddle jumper over like another hour into Edinburgh. On the way out, we did the reverse. We connected in Amsterdam, and it was like 10 and a half from Amsterdam to Salt Lake.
Wow.
So you went from Salt Lake to Paris nonstop?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I thought you'd have to stop like in Boston or somewhere. You know.
That's the beautiful thing about Salt Lake. It's an international hub, so they have the big planes.
The big boys.
And Nat, being the wizard that she is, she'd been planning this for the year. So
She's a wizard
she had
too.
this credit card, American Express. We've been putting all our financing because the more money you spend with the card, it gives you more Delta perks. So long story short, we flew first class. We're fancy like that.
You're bougie. We know this.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I tell you, those seats looked wonderful.
They did. Yeah.
Recline all the way back. I mean, I was like, they freaking give you slippers.
Where are you walking to?
They're to the bathroom, I guess. I didn't use them, but I have an extra pair.
That's
But,
awesome.
yeah, they laid back. I mean, everything. It was just so nice. You had your own
I love
little
it.
cabin. It was worth it.
I love it. That's and I'm sure there's going to be stories that still come out over the next few weeks on the Flannel
Yeah.
panel because he's just remembering them or they're fizzling back in his memory from.
As you can tell by this conversation. I had a chronological order for this, but it's just I screwed it all up.
A drunken
We're all
stupor
over
at
the place.
times, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And in that statement, it's time for just the tips.
Oh, just the tips, the best part.
Is it the best part? We
It
should
is.
start.
I don't
We
know.
should do it at the beginning then, maybe.
Yeah.
To keep viewers engaged. I don't know, something like that. But just the tips. I have a really good one, special one, and Andrew West, if he's still on, will know exactly what it is. But I'll go last, or
Yeah.
I go first.
If
You
you've
want
got
me
a good one, you probably ought to save it
It's
because
not that great.
mine
It's just
stinks.
it's a fun one.
I'm literally making one up right now.
Okay.
I'll go first because I'll give you a second. I'm not proud of this, and I was embarrassed about it at first, but
Oh no.
I've been watching American Idol with Patty this season. So this Sunday
Hold on.
is the grand frickin' finale.
Hold on. Did you
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
start watching American Idol now? Or
Well, I
did
mean,
you
I've
watch it
watched
for
the whole
years?
season. Well, last year and this year have been my 2 years.
You didn't watch it like 15 years ago with Kelly
No,
Clarkson
I've always
and Carrie
managed.
Underwood?
I watched one time way back when like Clay Aiken and Ruben Studdard were on. And
Okay.
I swore I would never watch reality TV again because I wanted to get hooked on something like that. So
And now
then-
you have Katy Perry and Luke Bryan.
yeah,
And
so Patty was
Lionel
watching
Richie.
with my daughter
My
Allie.
goodness.
I went off to college, so I took over and started watching with Patty. But so now I'm not proud of it, but I'm watching American Idol. I'm
And
hooked on
who do
American
you
Idol.
want to win?
We're rooting for Iam. I can't pronounce his last name. The fella from Hawaii.
No idea.
So you're not watching?
No, I haven't watched for years.
Okay, you need to tune in because this guy is changing the world.
Is he?
Yeah, he's bringing peace and harmony to everybody. I mean, he's
Peace and harmony. That sounds lovely.
he's like the Dalai Lama.
Do you have to text in the votes?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's actually there's an app. I've downloaded the American Idol app, and you can vote for your favorite contestant.
So
10 votes per person.
When I watched it, I was completely irrelevant because in Canada we couldn't vote. It was U.S. votes only.
It's not Canadian Idol, Ian. I mean,
I know, but I'm watching American Idol going, oh, I want to vote for this person. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of took away. Canadian Idol sucked. But just
So
like Canadian
3-hour
Big Brother.
finale.
You guys
Sunday
ever watch
night at 8
Big Brother?
I'm sorry, what?
I never
You
did.
ever
No.
watch Big Brother? That's a reality show for you. If you want to lose 3 nights a week to TV, watch Big Brother. It's fantastic.
I used to watch. Oh, side story. I used to watch a little bit of Survivor.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm not sure, but the rumor has it we might have a local town member going to be on one of the upcoming Survivors here. So I'll let you know if that comes
Sweet.
through. Yeah.
That's groundbreaking news.
Hey, we got 1,200 people in town. You get somebody on Survivor, you put it in the paper.
Yeah, for sure. Jason, you got just the tip for this evening?
They're absolutely worthless, but this is kind of more. So we did watch. There was a couple times where we were relaxing and we watched a little bit of TV in the old hotel room. I was getting ready and whatnot, and it's on BritBox. It's really weird. I don't know why I was watching it, but I got so engrossed. BBC has this show called Gogglebox.
Gogglebox.
And it's literally you are watching people that are watching television.
No.
Is the just the tip to stay away?
It's a train wreck. I'm telling you, you watch people that are watching television and you watch their reactions, and they kind of go through like the summary of the week's TV in Britain.
Wow.
So you'll never see it. I just thought it was absolutely weird. And I was the dumbest thing I ever got addicted to.
And you watch
I was so
still,
dumb. And then like 10 minutes is
See,
on. And Nat and I
here's
are
my
like,
problem.
yes.
You can't go to Burger King, but you can sit in your hotel room and watch other people watching TV.
I'm telling you. Hey. I know.
And Natalie's
Well,
not
it's part
watching
of the
anymore.
lot- So
She would
it
be
was
yelling
not
at me.
during what I call the soccer part, the football party. After about midnight, Nat was treating me like my mom did when you wanted to go out and play high. When you want to go out and play kick the can when you're a kid and it's like too dark, and your mom won't let you go outside.
Yeah.
That was Nat. I wanted to go down and party with the kilted gentleman at 2 a.m, and she wouldn't let me go.
And you still have your life.
He's like, no,
Yeah, well.
I want you down. So I had to sit and listen to drunk people singing awesome songs and watch people watch television in a Glasgow hotel.
Well, fantastic. Fantastic.
And quick,
Save us, Ian.
the Dixon flannel of the week for the tip.
Oh yeah.
I bought
Yeah,
one.
Tell me,
It's called
what is
the
that?
Dirte.
The Dirte. Yeah.
The Dirte from Joe
What
Dirt.
is that? I don't get
Joe
the
Dirt.
reference.
Joe Dirt.
Oh, I've never watched Joe Dirt.
Are you
man.
kidding me?
Yeah, I don't know. I have to put it on my list.
Yes, you must.
Joe Dirt. Yeah.
Maybe we should do a Joe Dirt review.
We got to do a
panel.
Joe Dirt watch party. Can we do a
How
Joe
about
Dirt
that?
watch
Just one
party?
episode, just a watch party. We'll just air Joe
You
Dirt.
know what? We should do that. We should watch it live together, and then we could
With-
cut it up and find the good parts. And
I agree.
Yeah.
Joe Dirt is the best. It's the best worst TV.
It's awesome.
It's David Spade,
Yep.
Mhm.
where he just plays this redneck kid that was
It's
abandoned, and
Yeah.
yeah, he tells his stories of all of his adventures being a heavily mulleted redneck. And
It's great.
Kind of like Forrest Gump for redneck people.
It's fantastic. It's perfect. All right, my just the tip is a book, Only the Dead by Jack Carr. Just came out. So the James Reese Terminalist series that was out last fall on Amazon.
Yeah.
His 6th book just came out, and Casey texted me and Andrew West texted me, and I'm just starting it on my audiobook, and it's fantastic. One of the best, like I guess people would consider him like the modern Tom Clancy kind of thing. So if you think of those Tom Clancy books where it's like political thrillers, that kind of stuff, he adds a spin of military. He was a Navy SEAL, so he adds in a bunch of like tech and like gun stuff. And if the people that don't like it call it gun porn in a book, which I kind of like. So it's very detailed and I really like it. So Only the Dead. If you don't follow Jack Carr on Instagram, he reminds me in the whiskey world of Roy from Aquavitae. Just the kindest, coolest dude. Like, again, social channels, and that's what you see. He has a podcast called the Danger Close Podcast where he just chats about life, and really interesting. So check out Only the Dead. And not saying Flannel Goggle Box. Oh, where we watch Joe Dirt. That's it. We're gonna call it the Flannel Goggle Box episode. So
we're sitting on a gold mine.
So Troy is just the tip is watch American Idol.
Sorry.
Jason is the Dirte, and what was the other thing? The Goggle Box. The Goggle Box. And
Jason,
Only the Dead.
Jason signed off 10 minutes ago. His lights went off.
Dark. And until next week, everyone, let's stay buttoned up.
Stay buttoned up, people.
Cheers, everyone. We'll see you soon.